Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with the final series of the first day back for the summer season of the Arena World Championship, and it is an absolutely fantastic one, I must say so myself. Wildcard Gaming somehow facing elimination after flat out winning the last 3 cups that they competed at in the spring season. I'm Healingstad hosting for you, and we have Venruki Super T's casting the action, and of course on the end of the desk we have Zico breaking down all the analysis and bringing us some of the classiest humor, I must say, as well. But we will be getting into the games here. So we have Choccy Milkmen playing against the Wildcard Gaming here. Wildcard Gaming, of course, we saw got knocked down earlier today, whereas Choccy Milkmen on Wednesday, they lost one of their series and were able to win earlier today to make it through to the top 6. They actually, I believe they lost to Change My Mind, right? During the Wednesday bracket, Sid?
Yeah, I believe they did. The open bracket. Trying to double check here.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. But it was one of the teams that I think made it through to the top side. I'm just trying to remember which one it was. But on Wednesday, they basically, that was the one series that they did lose.
Changed My Mind.
Exactly.
Wildcard Gaming down to lower brackets. So now they have an opportunity again to face the Choccy Milkmen. And I don't know. After their performance against Rogue Mage, the Windwalker DK didn't work twice. The Ellie Boomkin didn't work. I don't think that those are options for them. I'm almost wondering if they should just try the Demon Hunter Death Knight. Like, how long has it been since that was proven to not work?
They never really played too much Demon Hunter Death Knight. We'll have to see what they have. Wildcard Gaming, they always seem to be one of these compositions, and you guys know it. You know they're in trouble. 50% of the vote basically split between you guys for Change My Mind, or for Choccy Milkmen, double CMM once again, and Wildcard Gaming here. But they've always had one composition that they've struggled with, and it normally has been some sort of variant of the Rogue Mage. We'll have to see what they do here. They're actually reverting back to their spring season composition of the Windwalker, the Mistweaver, and the Death Knight.
Interesting that they're running with the Mistweaver variant instead of the Druid. Way of the Crane could be a big hitter there for Wildcard Gaming if they can navigate Looney in and protect him from crowd control. Could be an X factor for Wildcard Gaming to stay in the tournament. Now, I would say that it's important for either team to win this, because Wildcard Gaming have a good shot at overthrowing Method Black for top point earners and getting a spot at BlizzCon that way. So if they lose here, they basically lose any opportunity to catch up, unless Method Black just go on a huge slump, which I think is probably never going to happen. But Choccy Milkmen as well, their only hope of really qualifying is to get first place at the LAN. So BlizzCon is effectively on the line in this series in the lower bracket, just in the first cup.
Yeah, Blizzo, Looney used Transcendence very early on, a very aggressive push here by Choccy Milkmen. They haven't really committed too much of their offense yet. It's a decent crowd control chain, but mostly just negated by the Transcendence. Now Gelu in a little bit of trouble as he used some of his Shimmers to move in. Hot Asphyxiate stun. That's going to be an Iron Bar coming in from Clyde to try to deny some of that damage. Icy Veins gets pulled out. This is a touch of death as well. Both teams looking to get very aggressive early on. Looney caught into a blind. Blizzo in some trouble, but he pre-grapple weaponed the kidney shot. Really nicely done there by Blizzo.
Beautifully done. Still in trouble. He cannot afford to throw away in the Grand Arena. The blind pick, they can't afford it. They stun up Looney during his ability to cast uninterrupted. Denying it for now, but not going for the counterspell. Cyclone at low health, making this even more difficult for Wildcard Gaming to recover. Zeepai has Ratcher snared up in those chains of ice. He's having a hard time making it back to his target. Ring of Peace now really making it difficult. Blizzo tries to reconnect to Gelu. Gelu blinks. Blizzo reconnects. Zeepai stunned away, but then walks into a double leg sweep. Blizzo leading the charge. Gelu respects it, using the Gliders Medallion Temporal Shield, soaking up all this damage. Likely to heal back, but the Gliders Maledict is absorbing some of it. Big attack now on Blizzo. Looney sees it coming. Trades the Life Cocoon to absorb the hits and allow Blizzo to continue his pursuit. Desperately looking for an early ice block, but with Iron Bark available, I think it's unlikely.
Yeah, I think Gelu's going to be able to hold on. Paralysis, though, comes in, slowing down some of that healing. Gelu could be in some trouble. Iron Bark will deflect that attack, and I think Gelu will be able to survive. And for Windwalker Death Knight, what we've seen in the past is basically 2 major check marks they have to go through in order to get that ice block, and that is going to be Temporal Shield, and then, of course, the Iron Bark. So there's a small window here where they could burst down Gelu, but there's good pressure here on the Blizzo. Looney caught into the Polymorph, and that's one of the things about the Mistweaver Monk, is they don't have the best ability to defend themselves from incoming crowd control from the Mage and the Restoration Druid, and they can get caught up in these extended crowd control chains. Luckily, Looney will be able to keep his team alive. Gelu, in the meantime, taking quite a bit of burst damage. He could fall. There's an interrupt on the Clyde. Gelu, no Temporal Shield, no Iron Bark, and there it is. There's the ice block. This is what Blizzo and Zeepai have to do consistently in this matchup. And they have a decent pressure on the Blizzo, but they haven't been able to force out any major defensives.
Smooth moves from Wildcard Gaming. One ice block out of the way, touch of death available, and could maybe easily force the second one shortly. Double leg sweep, touch of death. Are they going for a swap? No, it's on Gelu. His Fists of Fury are amplifying that touch of death damage. That red icon above Gelu's head about to explode for a big hit. Clyde denies it actually entirely with a Swiftman timing right before it explodes, totally saving the day and denying potential ice block force or a kill there. Good response by Clyde, but his mana is not looking too healthy. Wildcard Gaming are doing a lot of damage, coming very close to killing Gelu, and even though they don't, it's at the expense of Clyde's mana. Unless he can find a drink, and against an Unholy Death Knight, it's very difficult to drink. Wildcard Gaming are in a commanding lead.
Yeah, Wildcard Gaming's been doing a good job. Clyde's mana going lower and lower at this point of the game. We have to wonder, at what point does Choccy Milkman sort of abandon this offensive push? They're looking for an all-in onto Looney. Grapple weapon comes in once again. There's the double leg sweep. Big damage by Blizzo. Are they going to be able to take down Ratcher? He's already used his trinket. Fane has been traded out as well. Looney does manage to sneak away and survive, but Wildcard Gaming, they're all over the place. Ratcher could fall, Gelu could fall. Clyde also not completely out of it yet if he plays too aggressive. Mana sort of evening out at this point, but I really feel like Looney, as the game goes on, is going to develop more and more of a lead.
Way of the Crane. Looney's trying to add some extra damage. It's a race against Temporal Shield's clock. Can they get the ice block? They're still going through it, despite it now being over. They whiffed the leg sweep on Gelu, unfortunately only hitting Ratcher. Gelu looks like he should be all right, but now they're actually switching to Looney. He saw it coming. What a read. I can't believe he saw it. He would be dead right now if he did not activate that fortifying elixir right before being stunned. So Looney anticipating an attack on himself and blocking it preemptively, denying the kill there for the Chalky Milkman. Gelu now on the back foot. Iron Bark is exchanged to reduce the damage on Gelu, but it's so difficult for him to recover. Where are the openings? Looney's trinket is coming up in 15 more seconds. Blizzo has his entire defensive lineup. Zeepai is more than healthy. This is looking better and better for Wildcard Gaming. Clyde stunned up. This could be an ice block. They stun Blizzo. They stall for just a tad bit longer. This Temporal Shield isn't going to be too big. Looney gets counterspelled. Maybe an opportunity. Clyde's moving across the map. Maybe looking for a Cyclone at low health. Fakes the Dark Simulacrum. Now Gelu's still low. Interrupted on Frost for one more second. Ice block? Nope. Wildcard Gaming take game one.
That was a very quick nope. It looked really close, but honestly, the game overall did not look close. Wildcard Gaming completely stomped this game from my perspective, at least.
Honestly, in their previous series as well, it looked like they were kind of throwing away a couple of their wins. It didn't really look like they were ready to lose yet. The wildcard that we know, they lose late in dampening when they have no cooldowns left, no mana left. They've done everything they could. This looked a bit more like the wildcard that we know. They have tons of defensive still available, and they managed to get, a big burst opportunity and win. And I'm not sure about the Mistweaver pick. It felt like kind of risky, but Looney manages to kind of weather that storm when he got swapped to, and it does add a bit of extra punch. It does add a lot of extra damage. You can see right there as well. Stopping Clyde there when he's going for that drink is pretty big for them. But I'm not sold on the Mistweaver. I would have loved to see Looney honestly just stay on the Resto Druid and just play with the same confidence that we know Wildcard Gaming has. And here, of course, the Maledicts are connecting, shutting down that Temporal Shield right there from Gelu. And then, of course, Gelu taking a page out of Raiku's book, or I guess removing a page out of Raiku's spell book and not using his ice block there.
Yeah, I mean, a good victory overall for Wildcard Gaming. I want to ponder the question, just because I'm curious what your answer will be. What is it maybe a comfort pick for Looney to be playing the Mistweaver? Because, I mean, he plays kind of everything, but it just seemed like he felt really comfortable, as you say, weathering the storm in that game.
I feel like, Druid should be his main. I don't see why he would play the Druid. The Mistweaver is more mana effective up until 20 or 30% dampening because, you don't really need to drink. Whereas the Druid has more opportunity to drink and can essentially allow his team to stay alive much longer. But it might just be as simple as it's just easier to play it with one arm.
I'm trying to remember what exactly happened, because this is like this exact meta is sort of reminiscent of the beginning of the spring season, where we saw this team implement the Windwalker Death Knight Mistweaver. This is actually the composition that sort of carried them forward to make it to the spring finals. And I'm trying to remember what beat them. What was it that forced them off the Windwalker Death Knight Mistweaver?
Ellie Mage?
Windwalker Mage.
Windwalker Mage,
Oh, Windwalker
I think.
Mage.
Windwalker Mage.
Right, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if that's a composition that the Choccy Milkmen have available, because when we've seen this matchup play out in the past, the Mistweaver Windwalker Death Knight has always done really well against the Rogue Mage Druid, and I feel like not too much has changed from that time. Yeah. So maybe Wildcard Gaming, it just took them a little while to remember.
I was like, what did we do a month ago?
Yeah, and maybe they have the perfect answer for the Choccy Milkman here. If they can't bring out the Windwalker Monk, this might just be an easy 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me interested to see how Kolo's going to do tomorrow, because Kolo's team, Never Lucky, played very similar compositions to Wildcard Gaming, right? Especially since they've now added a mage to their roster, so they're basically going mano for mano with them. They're just trying to copy it every single way. And Wildcard Gaming, you know, they're just reminding everyone that, hey, this double monk DK is a very effective composition into those kind of play-to-win compositions that we've seen a lot of today. So maybe this could be the one that drives them all the way through. That said, Choccy Milkmen do have Mystic on their team, so theoretically they could play some sort of elemental mage here. So do you think this would be the time to potentially bring it up?
I think it depends on what Wildcard Gaming lock in, because on Hookpoint they should play the same. It's pretty easy to stop a druid from drinking. I would be surprised if they change their composition, unless the Choccy Milkmen have something that's just totally out of left field.
I feel like the Mistweaver can die much easier though
so?
on Hookpoint.
It's a loony Mistweaver.
It is loony Mistweaver.
That is a thing. You have to think about that. There's the loony factor, the additional thing. But I actually think one of the other things I liked about the Mistweaver in this game is that he's also much more offensive on the Mistweaver, right? Like he can incap, he can stun, and he can ring a piece of the druid. And it actually helps them force ice blocks, because they're always so close, but then the guy just spams Nourish or Regrowth and keeps them alive. Here, they actually had a bit more offense on Wildcard Gaming, and the onus is really on Choccy Milkmen to prove something, because I remember in spring season, every time this happened, there was only one outcome. It was always Wildcard Gaming coming out on top.
I mean, I think another point in favor of the Mistweaver Monk is just the passive healing you get from the Serpent Jade statue. Anytime you use Soothing Mist, your Serpent Jade statue will basically mirror you, and it will just keep a beam of healing on someone, and that way we don't have Gelu just kleptomaniaing every single heal over time effect, so it's not as risky to just go down in one sort of crowd control chain. It's a lot more consistent healing, so I think that's another added benefit the Mistweaver Monk has. Is I actually feel like the way they heal in this matchup is really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it did seem very good in that first game. The only slight vulnerability is potentially Loony, but saying Loony is your win condition is a bit scary.
I thought there was a curveball.
Actually going to see Mystic. And this is a composition. I know Zeke will be excited about this, because we saw Waz talking about this a lot during the pregame. Or maybe you're excited too. The Fire Mage and the Elemental. This is a big ladder comp in Europe.
Yeah, it's really powerful. Basically, the way it works is, maybe Zico wants to explain it.
You're doing a good job. Keep going.
Yeah, so you have a lot of stun potential. Obviously, with the Holy Paladin and the Elemental Shaman, you have the Lightning Lasso and the Hammer of Justice, which is a large amount of damage. The Holy Paladin can assist you in that damage, and then you have that big, juicy Meteor from that Fire Mage. So anytime you have Hammer of Justice, Lightning Lasso, and Meteor, you have the ability to just one-shot someone out of the water. If you have Combustion available, that becomes even more scary. And then, of course, with the Elemental Shaman, you have good, consistent damage. The Fire Mage, if he wants to, can go Greater Power Blast, depending on the matchup. I think it's unlikely in this particular matchup, but just that one-shot capability makes this composition really strong, especially for a Mistweaver Monk. I feel like the Mistweaver Monk is really vulnerable to this.
Well, the Windwalker Monk
and
potentially as well, yeah. Any Monk. It's a scary day for the Venfukis of the world right now. But, I mean, this is actually really exciting. These are two of the compositions that we've been talking about throughout spring, and we never got to see. We never saw this Elemental Fire Mage, and we never saw the Lock Shaman Druid either. And both of them, we thought, these are the powerful wizards. Where are they in the tournaments? And now two different teams are bringing them out. Sid, what do you think about this matchup?
I am excited to see it. We've been getting a lot of Rogue Mage today, so some variety is certainly nice, especially because this composition, the Fire Mage Elemental, is one that we haven't seen in the tournament setting. So if you're tuning in, this is definitely kind of history in the making. Clyde, in the past, has played Disc Priest, and for most of these cups has played Restoration Druid, so he's got to fill some big shoes on the Paladin. Perhaps he can. I do believe that they have enough crowd control between Repentance and Polymorph. I don't think Wildcard Gaming can stop both of those crowd controls at the same time, and then Looney will be taken out of the fight. Blizzo will be held in place by Mystic, which is nice to see Mystic kind of come back into the scene as well. He's kind of the creator of Skillcraft. He has a lot of knowledge in terms of World of Warcraft, and now running in here on his Elemental Shaman has an opportunity in a tournament setting to make some moves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it's important that we do quickly look big picture and see what the stakes are in this series. This is a lower bracket game, guys. So Wildcard Gaming, you would think of them throughout the entirety of spring and any year when you look at the names on this roster as someone that should be in that top 2, always contesting for the top spots. But because of how we are, Wildcard Gaming are in the lower bracket. They have to win this game to even make top 4 in this tournament. And we've also reset all the points here, guys, for the summer season. So all these teams, you know, Europe currently has only 1 spot at BlizzCon this year. They need to make it through to the summer finals with these reset points. They need big performances in the summer season if they are to make it through to the summer finals and go for those 2 remaining BlizzCon spots. Europe wants the absolute best representation. And I mean, this is the best way to prove who it is.
I'm glad you took that tie off because you really didn't need it to know where your allegiances lie.
I know. It was just so perfect after that last series, you know. I'm saving it for a special occasion. I'm saving it for an all-EU finals.
Okay.
Which, I mean, might happen in the EU Cups, but probably not.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. For Gelu, I'm kind of curious. You can kind of play 2 different builds here. You could go for the Greater Power Blast, which is what Gelu has, you know, been traditionally known for in the past, but I actually think Firestarter in this composition, the ability, basically it's a talent where every time you fireball, it reduces the cooldown of your combustion by 5 seconds. That allows you to get those big meteor one-shots off way more consistently in a matchup like this, and that's the kind of build I hope that he's running.
Looney crowd controlled right off the bat. Blizzo anticipating an attack, activating that fortified elixir, and then transcendencing out of the fight.
Combustion.
They're going to go after Zeepai. Who is this Greater Pyroblast on? On nobody. Gets shut down, and Gelu is trying to bake up a spicy Greater Pyro. If at any moment he can finish one of those, it does 35% of someone's health, but it's a very long casted spell. So if Gelu does manage to find one and his team can back him up with some follow-up, it could almost immediately be the end of a player's life. So definitely keep your eyes on Gelu. Although making a bit of a mistake there, blinking on top of Mystic and then getting both players stunned. They definitely need to focus on their positioning a bit more. Gelu was unable to get follow-up crowd control, and as a result, Mystic's Lightning Lasso is totally negated on Blizzo.
Yeah, that was a really weird start from Gelu, I have to be honest. He was going for Greater Pyroblast, and then he popped Combustion when they didn't even have a stun, and I don't know, just a bit strange, but we'll have to see what exactly can happen. Looney now completely recasting, is able to keep Blizzo and Zeepai completely healthy. Gelu is playing Greater Pyroblast, and he's been going for them consistently in this matchup, but I don't know if it's the best choice. I mean, he's baiting out a lot of interrupts. If he can land the Greater Pyroblast, that's going to be great. Blizzo does, of course, get that life cocoon from Looney to keep him alive in this situation, but Gelu's been taking a lot of damage. Blizzo uses the Touch of Karma, blessing and protection on that Touch of Karma. Now Blizzo is very vulnerable, and that's one of the downsides against playing against a Holy Paladin. He has the Fortifying Brew, opting not to trade it out just yet, but if now's not a good time to use it, I don't know when is. Looney finally out of crowd control, able to reconnect with Blizzo, and Blizzo was able to hold on to that Fortifying Brew, but a nice counterspell coming in from Gelu. Very offensive plays from the Chalky Milk men. I was saying, before I was rudely interrupted by that nice play, that Clyde is actually a little bit behind on mana here in the situation. So I think the Wildcard Gaming can kind of hold on. They could win this game on mana.
Usually you don't compliment someone when they interrupt you, but it's okay. Gelu's still in trouble. Clyde needs some big heals, but he doesn't have many cooldowns to work with, so Gelu's Ice Block could be forced here momentarily. It's a race. Can they get through that temp shield in time? No, he's still holding out at about 50% health. I'm not sold on this Fire Mage Elemental Shaman composition. I'm also not really sold on the map. I mean, maybe they were trying to win on mana, but they're not. So it's obvious that they are inexperienced with this composition. Gelu has to Ice Block, major defensive cooldown out of the way, and they continue to fall further behind in every regard.
I just feel like the way you play this composition is you go after the healer. Like, I think Looney's just such a vulnerable target. They can do consistent setups on him, allow Mystic to sort of really harass him in this matchup. And Gelu could have free reign with Dragon Breath Sheeps, Ring of Frost on the DPS of Blizzo and Zeepai, but they're not opting to play it that way. Ultimate Sacrifice comes in from Clyde. Gelu's still taking a little bit of damage, manages to find one Greater Pyroblast on Blizzo. He hightails it out of there, able to use his Transcendence to top off, and now it's Gelu that's in trouble once again.
Yeah, once again in trouble. Clyde with limited mana. basically no cooldowns for 3 more seconds, hoping that he can make it to that Avenging Wrath. Otherwise, Wildcard Gaming are going to put them on match points. Okay, now with Avenging Wrath, Clyde can activate that, increase his healing so much so that it's unlikely that Wildcard Gaming will find a kill, unless they can crowd control him. So that is one way to eliminate that healing cooldown's potency. Looney's moving forward. They've crowd controlled Clyde. They're pushing for the win. How is Clyde going to respond to this crowd control? He's going to use Glaire's Medallion to remove it. Hammer of Justice Looney, pop Avenging Wrath, boost his healing, and get a huge heal to save Gello. So good response from Clyde, but even still, Gello just taking a beating. Tons of damage. Clyde is struggling just to sustain Gello's life. This is very surprising during the Avenging Wrath. Ring of Frost defensively may not be enough. I am startled by the amount of damage that is currently tossed Gello's way, but Clyde has managed to hold on.
Yeah, he has managed to hold on, but at what cost? He's down to 15% mana. Divine Favor, Avenging Wrath will keep Gello afloat. Gello now looking for a Greater Power Blast once again, but like I said, I just can't help but feel like the Greater Power Blast is not the best option in this matchup, but might be able to get the miracle play and take down Zeepai. Unfortunately, gets interrupted. There's just so much disruption from Blizzo and Zeepai in this matchup. Gello's going to be kiting away with the Blessing of Freedom, but they're all over him, and Clyde is running out of time. There's not much mana left to work with. Gello could easily fall. Blessing of Protection, one of the last line of defensives to keep Gello alive. Now looking for another Greater Power Blast. Is he going to be able to land? Ring of Peace denies. Nicely done by Looney.
Yeah, beautiful denial there. Fortunately for Clyde, his cooldowns are actually cycling quite efficiently. He's almost always had at least one answer during these pushes, but it's really his mana that's starting to hurt. And on Unholy Death Knight, that being Zeepai, can just stop him from drinking so readily and so easily that I think they're just going to inevitably lose on mana. We haven't even gotten to dampening. They need a miracle. There's basically every defensive cooldown for Wildcard Gaming. Of course, Greater Power Blast is a miracle creator, so Gello could put the team on his back, but it seems like there's a bit of inexperience on the roster in terms of this composition. Maybe they're anticipating to win on mana, but they actually lose on mana, and their setups have been kind of, I would say, sloppy at best, really, at this point. They need to try and mix something up here, because at this point, they're just banging their heads against a wall.
Yeah, they're definitely not playing it the way I thought they would in this matchup. Gello under a lot of pressure right now. Does manage to get a Greater Power Blast off. Are they going to get the one-shot kill onto Blizzo? That would have been a disaster. Blizzo does manage to escape with the Diffuse Magic. Transcendence, Looney tops him off. Gello looking for the hero play off the back of that Greater Power Blast and the Combustion. They're going to need a miracle at this point. That might have been it, but Blizzo with the cheat death does manage to survive. Looney just has to be careful. He's got Trinket, he's got the Life Cocoon, he's got the tools that he needs, as well as the Anti-Magic Zone. We have to see them use these buttons. They want to hold on.
Nope, no Greater Power Blast there. I was wondering if that was just going to be the end of the game, but now Gello is falling behind. Clyde is running out of options. Avenging Wrath is about to end. He gets one more big heal before its healing boosting effects are going to subside, and when they do, he's actually got a Blessing Protection in 3 seconds. Clyde is playing this out masterfully with his cooldowns. He's always had at least one answer, even though he's very low on mana. Gello in trouble, but then has Ice Block again, so perhaps this game is being flipped on its head. Blizzo in a bit of trouble as 2 players are stunned on the team, working their way through a Gladiator's Medallion, which is exactly the main objective that they needed to get. The next Lightning Lasso could end Blizzo's life if Looney isn't careful. Gello setting up some defensive polymorphs, looking for the Greater Pyro Blast, trying to fake cast the Mind Freeze, looking for a Greater Power Blast while Blizzo is hexed, then gets interrupted. A bit unfortunate that that hex ended prematurely. Gello looking for more polymorphs, gets one onto Looney. This could be a big opportunity to kill Blizzo. Stormkeeper from Mystic, gigantic lightning bolts flying. Blizzo sees that, Transcendence is away. Looney follows him, manages to stabilize. Gello falling behind, but Clyde still has answers. So long as he can keep casting Holy Lights and trade cooldowns, Gello will hang on for a substantial amount of time. Divine Shield overlapped a bit with Ice Block. I believe he wanted to go for crowd control with that Divine Shield, but usually you would see Divine Shield, Blessing of Sacrifice, not Divine Shield and Ice Block. So this is now finally some cooldown mismanagement from the side of the Chalky Milkman, and a big opening for Wildcard Gaming.
Yeah, definitely. Gello gets interrupted, looking for a Greater Power Blast. Ring of Peace denies the follow-up. Clyde completely tapped on mana. Blessing of Protection is the only thing he really has left. Blizzo might have to be a little bit careful right now. Looney still has a healthy amount of mana, but Gello, he has the Combustion available. They could go for the one shot, one opportunity onto Blizzo. That's going to be the Anti-Magic Zone, and that is exactly what we needed to see from Zeepai, and that will keep Blizzo alive. Very nicely done. Things are looking good for Wildcard Gaming.
All right, Mystic has his Fire Elemental in the fight. He's got Stormkeeper rolling. He can do a lot of damage if Blizzo isn't careful. One Lightning Bolt. Where's the two Lightning Bolts? Touch of Karma going to trade. They actually cut through it. Blizzo is in a bit of a tough situation. Gelu seems to be all right with Blessing and Protection, although he's very low. Temporal Shield about to go off. Maybe he's not all right. Clyde is just totally tapped on mana at this point. He's in crowd control. Gelu's trying to pull off the miracle while his team basically has nothing left to work with. It's a race to the finish here now at 24% dampening. 2 members on Choccy Milkman are low. Clyde has 0 mana to heal either of them, but Blizzo really doesn't have any options. But Gelu's looking like he's going to fall first. Fist of Fury flying, and Gelu Baba dying. Wildcard Gaming move to match point.
Yeah, Wildcard Gaming. It was a close call a couple of times. You could really see the burst potential and the win condition for this Fire Mage Elemental Shaman. It's just so much damage. But Blizzo, I mean, honestly, he's looked masterful throughout the season, throughout the year, on whatever class you put him on.
Yeah, Blizzo, always such a strong player, but I think Zeepai really was the key factor as well in this victory, because Zeepai was always on top of Gelu, making sure that he was interrupting the Keep, Greater Pyros, shutting down the Polymorphs, always staying on target. That anti-magic zone right there, split second too late, and Blizzo can easily go down. So there's a lot of trust between Zeepai and Blizzo, despite having a bit of a rough game against Change My Mind earlier on during the day. And it's nice to see again here Zeepai stopping the re-polymorph there, allowing Looney to get a little bit of healing off at least, and just trying to annoy Gelu as much as possible. And the setups from the Choccy Milkman, they didn't look too great. I think they should focus less on polymorphs, absolutely not play Greater Pyroblast, and just focus more on surprise one-shots. If they can get Blizzo to 80% or so, they can easily just one-shot him with a Hammer of Justice on Looney and the Lightning Lasso on Blizzo. They don't need to go for that big CC chain. The strength of this comp is that you can erase people. So I feel like they played it a little bit too setup based and a little bit too like they didn't play it enough Zug basically.
Yeah,
so that's the adaptation I would have liked to see.
Enough NA.
You just need
that's actually what I was going to say first, but then I changed it to Zug.
You need
because you've been you're on a timeout today.
You need clean Zug-Zugs, basically. Just clean Zug-Zugs, yeah.
It's definitely very true that if you're going to see one of those one-shot screenshots where it's just like bam, 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 red text, it would be this comp. But we're going to see if Wildcard Gaming are able to finish out this series, the final of the day, after one final quick break. All right, we're on Game 3 of the series between Choccy Milkman and Wildcard Gaming. Thus far, it's been entirely Wildcard Gaming in this one. They've been looking absolutely stellar. It's really been a one-sided affair. Choccy Milkman, they've got something to prove to us. I did like the fact they were able to utilize Mystic, but we just don't think they played the comp right at all.
Yeah, I think their setups just could have been a little bit cleaner. Like Zico was kind of saying, I think all they really need is 2 good stuns. You just have the Paladin push in, get a Hammer of Justice on the healer, a good Lightning Lasso with a Meteor Combustion, and you can just rinse, repeat that setup, and eventually they run out of cooldowns, especially when you play against a Windwalker Monk, and you can use the Blessing of Protection on that Touch of Karma. It's a surprising amount of damage, but Choccy Milkman, they're actually going to be switching it up. They're going to be going with the Fire Mage, Holy Paladin, Assassination Rogue instead of the Elemental Shaman. And I have to say, I mean, Choccy Milkman, playing the Fire Mage, Assassination Rogue, they play it very well at a very high level. I can understand why they wanted to switch off the Elemental Shaman. They did seem a little bit lost in that matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a composition they haven't played yet today. We've seen them mostly playing just the Rogue Mage Druid with the Frost Mage. This really is their #1 composition on the ladder, Zico. And I mean, do you think that this is a better choice than the Rogue Mage Druid?
Yeah, I think if you're trying to target the Windwalker, the Paladin is just going to be superior. You're playing on a small map. You go after the Windwalker, you have the Hand of Protection, of course, which you can use to remove the Windwalker's immunity defensive, which is, of course, the Touch of Karma. And the biggest thing, in my opinion, is aside from the Hammer of Justice that Clyde will bring, Clyde can add a lot of extra damage in these setups, and it really does matter having the healer contribute, because so often we see these Windwalkers kind of teleport away on 10% HP or so, where if you have a couple of judgments, a couple of holy shocks, you can easily take that person down.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're on match point of potentially the last game of the first cup of the European region. Wildcard Gaming, they're looking stellar on this Windwalker, Death Knight, Mistweaver, but they have one more composition to beat, and that is the Holy Paladin Fire Mage Assassination Rogue. They're going all in. They have popped every aggressive cooldown, Combustion and Vendetta. If they don't even get a touch of Karma here, that is devastating for the Choccy Milkmen. They're pushing for it, but they're not getting it. Ring of Peace protecting Blizzo at the corner of these Dalaran sewer boxes. Maybe the map is going to backfire. Fortunately, though, they can just use Blessing of Protection to remove that touch of Karma, so even though they didn't get it here, they could get it later on and then just remove its effect. Now Blizzo's trying to force some pressure with that touch of death, but not able to stay on target. Zeepai is leading the charge, but he's polymorphed far away. Blizzo is on the run and playing this overly cautious. I don't blame him. I mean, the Choccy Milkmen have blown every cooldown. Just survive for a bit and then go for a push, and you basically got the series in the bag, and that's what they're doing. They're making a push here. Vlad's crowd controlled on his Avenging Wrath. If they can get Ice Block and Avenging Wrath, that's a big deal. Big Holy Light, no stop on it. Nice timing. Clyde then moves in, gets crowd control. Blizzo is at low health. Dragon's Breath on the 2 members. Gelu now being reversed on. Clyde gets interrupted by Zeepai. Clutch interrupt, goes for another one. Clyde fake casts the second. Ring of Peace protects Blizzo, but they Blessing of Protection off the touch of Karma. If they can keep Looney out of the fight, Blizzo will be in a lot of trouble. They need to keep this chain going a bit longer. Sap is ended. They've silenced. They have no more follow-up. Life Cocoon available. Unlikely that we see him go down. Blizzo and Looney kiting and avoiding the push. But now there's no real response. Combustion available again. The next push could close this out.
Really nicely done by Blizzo. He's doing a great job. He's relocated his port with Looney in this situation, rotating through his defensive cooldowns, not overreacting to the situation. I really like how Wildcard Gaming is playing it so far. Gelu, of course, has this combustion available. It's going to be a lot of damage. A Life Cocoon actually gets kind of preemptively traded out there by Looney. I don't know how much trouble Blizzo was really in. I mean, there's no Vendetta, there's no Combustion. Now that's not going to be a lifeline that they have moving forward. Although Blizzo now with his Fortifying Brew, with his Diffused Magic, should be feeling relatively safe. Gelu's the one that's in trouble. Leg sweep over onto Clyde. He's got no trinket. Could be the Ice Block, and surely it will be. Looney now into a full blind, but Blizzo preemptively reading the situation, using the Fortifying Brew to avoid a lot of this incoming damage, and now it's still Gelu in the back foot.
This is where the concern comes in. Choccy Milkmen, their win condition is just winning in the start of the match. What happens when they don't win at the start of the match? Can they keep extending the fight on and win deeper into dampening? I'm starting to think that it's unlikely. So they're on match point. They didn't win with the aggressive strategy. So now they're kind of just left floundering around, hoping for a miracle to happen. Maybe they can do it. They pop Combustion. Blizzo just immediately going to be using Touch of Karma. I mean, that's a 2-for-1 exchange value on that defensive cooldown with Vendetta and Combustion committed at the same time. And perhaps the Choccy Milkmen are too predictable. We'll have to find out. Blizzo is still low on health, and Looney is now able to reconnect. Ring of Peace prevents the Rogue Ratcher from connecting. Although they're double Dragon's Breath, maybe they can do it on 1% health. He gets Life Cocooned. This absorbed, the only thing keeping Blizzo alive. Looney's now finally out of crowd control. No counter spell. Should be able to cast some Soothing Mists. And now he's trying to avoid Polymorph. Line of sight's it around the corner. Zeepai Death Grips Gelu into a double stun. Blizzo setting up for the win here. Big touch of death. Clyde looks to deny it, but is he running Ultimate Sacrifice?
Nope.
Doesn't look like it, so maybe some potential to still kill Gelu. Clyde moves in desperately to try and close the game out with Hammer of Justice. Gelu is trying to blink in line of sight for Polymorph, but he can't get there. Now he's in trouble. This is still match point for the Choccy Milkmen, and they face elimination.
Blizzo a little bit vulnerable here still. Looney with no trinket. I think there's a full blind going to be available. I don't think Looney actually trinketed out of the blind. Clyde now caught into a leg sweep. Gelu retreating back to his Paladin, but Zeepai, Blizzo, they're all over him. Blessing of Freedom should be enough with that Frost Nova to keep Gelu alive just a little bit longer. What is Ratcher going to do? Who's he going after? Blizzo's still the most vulnerable target in this matchup. We have not entered dampening, and both these teams have been putting out a lot of pressure. Polymorph onto Zeepai. He has the anti-magic zone if they really need it, but Looney in a prime position right now to keep Blizzo alive. Ratcher moving forward. I think he wants to get the blind. If he can get it, there's an interrupt. It would be perfect to get the blind out of that interrupt. That's an extended crowd control chain. Blizzo, he might have to use his Transcendence and escape, but pressure's just not there. And they actually go for a swap on Looney. Anti-magic zone gets traded out. Looney actually preemptively life cocoon Blizzo, which was a bit of a misread there in that situation. Gelu did not commit his combustion, and anti-magic zone was used as well as life cocoon. There's definitely openings here for Choccy Milkman.
Yep, despite not finding their main win condition, which is just killing the opposing team in the first couple of seconds, they are still scrambling together some semblance of opportunity. 10 seconds away for Looney's Players Medallion. He needs to avoid Ratcher. Ratcher gets Blessing of Freedom. Ring of Peace prevents the reconnect for now. Ratcher Cloak of Shadows to immune the knockback to get the stun, but can't connect. Multiple Gladiators Maledicts incoming. Looney pre-fortified Brew this incoming attack, soaking up all the hits, then transcendencing back to the pillar. Gets counterspelled though by Gelu. If Ratcher can get there, he got Blessing of Freedom again to stay on target. He can silence potentially Looney. He uses that the T to immune the incoming silence and is able to avoid this crowd controlling effect. Then kite across to the opposite side of the map. Choccy Milkman mixing it up, although Wildcard Gaming have a pretty substantial mana lead at 6% dampening. What kind of cooldowns? Ice Block in 30, but Touch of Death is available now. Wildcard Gaming look to make a push. Zeepai uses Anti-Magic Shield aggressively with that Raise Abomination, pounding away at Gelu, looking for a kill. Clyde lining up some big Holy Lights. He's not got a lot of mana to work with. He can definitely not afford to cast Flash of Light at this point. Ratcher is just running at Looney like a Terminator. Looney Chi torpedoing across the map. Ratcher shadow stepping over and reconnecting. What answer do they have? Ring of Peace knocks Ratcher to the side, but he's still stun locked. Gelu is still firing in. Looney manages to survive the stun. Where's he gonna go? Where's he gonna run? He's just still out in midfield. Life Cocoon should be good enough for him to survive here. Maybe he's just sitting out here to allow his team more uptime, but he is falling behind. At this point, it's a race to kill Looney or a race to burn down the remainder of Clyde's mana, and it's still too close to call as to whether or not who is exactly ahead in this position. If Looney continues reading these swaps, then I would say that his team are going to be able to close this out, but if he makes even one mistake, one misstep, then I think he is going to lose. Caught into another kidney shot.
Combustion.
There's the anti-magic zone. Good trade. Looney should recover. No overreaction from Wildcard Gaming.
Yeah, Looney does manage to roll away. He's going to be able to top himself off. Now Ratcher could be in some trouble. And Wildcard Gaming, they've been doing a really good job rotating through the defensive cooldowns. Looney still has his trinket. He has his fortifying brew. I think he has some healing elixirs as well. So Looney, as long as he can use his trinket, use the transcendence, he will be able to survive the next swap. Choccy Milkman have sort of lost that kill opportunity onto Looney. They might have to change their attention, but who do they go after? Finally, a little bit of damage over on the Blizzo, but it's Ratcher that's in trouble. Paralysis onto Clyde. Ratcher's still in so much trouble. He has the evasion. A big heal comes in from Clyde off the back of that Avenging Wrath. That will top him off, but we're at 20% dampening. Things are going to start getting really spicy for both of these teams.
Yes, spicy indeed. Still Looney, though, with some mana, so I would give them the advantage. Hammer of Justice for the engagement. Gelu Baba looks for the kill. Meteor about to land. Huge hit. Looney holding on by a thread. Gets the Life Cocoon. But they shred through it. He's still low on health. Has to deal with multiple interrupts. Being counterspell on the mage and kick from Ratcher. And no one else can really absorb those for Looney. Runs into a Ring of Frost. Blizzo locked out of the fight. Zeepai now caught in a poly. The all-in on Looney could just end this here and now. Looney's trying to get through the interrupts, but there's still two available. He's too afraid to cast, but he needs to. They grip Ratcher away. They deny the kick. Looney free casts around the corner. Perfect teamwork here. Now Ratcher in trouble. Blessing of Sacrifice, but may not be enough. Divine Favor, Holy Light doesn't even stabilize Ratcher. The swap onto Ratcher was definitely effective here. Choccy Milkmen, they've still got a tiny bit of mana. It's an even fight. Looney looks to avoid Ratcher at all costs. They're going to switch to the Rogue entirely, realizing if they can just keep the Rogue away from Looney, they should be able to win. Looney moves in, stuns, but he stuns too early. 1 second before the death grip. Blizzo is now low on health. Dragon's Breath on Looney. Choccy Milkmen mix up their strategy. They Blessing of Protection off. The Touch of Karma, I do believe, so its defense is... maybe he Blessing protects the wrong target. Blizzo now has fortified Brew. It doesn't look like he's going to be dying anytime soon. Ratcher, on the other hand, I'm not sure if that's the same case. It's match point. They face elimination, and Ratcher is looking like he's going to fall. Clyde gets one Holy Light. Ratcher's on the run.
No way.
Looney gets stunned. Blizzo moves over to end Ratcher's fun. How is he still alive at this point? Ratcher holds on. Looney's interrupted. Blizzo actually is not out of the woods just yet. Maybe even a cross kill in this match.
I mean, I wouldn't count anything out at this point of the game, but Gelu gets used. Touch of Death. There's the Ice Block trade. I think might have been a waste, but they do get that ice block. Gelu could be in some trouble. Here's a smoke bomb attempt onto Blizzo. Ring of Peace might be able to keep him alive. He flying serpent kicks out of there as fast as he possibly can. Clyde's almost completely tapped on mana. Looney's tapped on mana. We're at 30% dampening. Blizzo in some trouble. He doesn't want to overcommit with no trinket. He's got no touch of karma. Diffuse magic, really all he has, but they have to keep the aggression up. Gelu is really vulnerable. Double leg sweep comes in from Looney. That was really nicely done. Rapture and Clyde both trinket out of that. Here's the kidney shot on Blizzo. They have to survive. He has the fortifying brew. Is this going to be the miracle kill? Blizzo, he portals out of line of sight. Ring of Peace denies any sort of follow-up damage from Rapture, and I think Blizzo might be able to hold on. He's still not topped off.
1 second.
Polymorph, he's got the touch of karma. He uses it. They're going all in on Gelu. Can he survive, Sid?
I can't believe Clyde is still healing with how much mana he's left in the tank. Divine Shield sacrifice, but it's not ultimate, so Gelu will still be taking some damage. Maybe it's just enough. Zeepai lobbing out some death coils, moving forward, looking to end this game. There's really nothing left for him. How is he still alive on 1% health? And they're both stunned. There's no way. Gelu falls. Valiantly fought by the Chalky Milkmen, but Wildcard Gaming seal the deal 3-0.
Definitely the best game coming out of the Chalky Milkmen, though. It was really nice to see them. If they were going to go out, you'd want it to be on their front foot. This is the composition they're known for on the European ladder, and they did play it out well. Maybe you could argue the Elemental Fire Mage is a better comp, and yes, it's something they should definitely keep practicing, but I think this was probably their best game of the series.
Honestly, I'm really happy to see versatility coming out of these guys, because in the past, Chalky Milkman, Rogue Mage Druid, that's about it. Is it the Frost Mage? Is it the Fire Mage? That's about the versatility that they had. Today, sure, the Ellie Mage didn't look super convincing, but this definitely looked like a very, very nice game. And I think the biggest beacon of light, if you will, is Clyde on that Holy Paladin for sure. Keeping his team alive against Wildcard Gaming all the way to like 35, 36% dampening is definitely not an easy thing to do. He had good cooldown rotations, and he had good talents as well. And it was definitely a close game. Blizzo almost went down there previously as well. Looney barely hang on as well. And here, of course, at the end of this, such a nice setup here from Wildcard Gaming. They finally connect. They finally weather the storm. Pre-fortifying brew on the kidney shot. The Maledict is going to come in and completely deny that cauterize as well right there. He gets the killing blow even. So nice offense, nice defense, and Wildcard Gaming definitely cleaned things up here in the lower bracket compared to earlier today. So really nice.
Yeah, really good game there from Wildcard Gaming. I think Clyde, as you said, he really made them work for that victory, but they definitely deserve to get it. And I mean, off of that, now they will be in the top 4. So they're really in this situation where that's where we expect them. You know, the top 4 is really kind of the gold standard that everyone wants. But now that they're able to beat some of these rogue mages, this Windwalker Death Knight definitely looks a bit scary. Going into Sunday, then, that's probably boding well for them considering the rest of the bracket.
I mean, things are looking good. The only main opposition I would say they have right now is, of course, going to be Method Black, because they do have that Windwalker Frostmage Restoration Druid, which we've seen in the past is a really solid answer against the Windwalker Death Knight composition. So we'll have to see how exactly that plays out. History may be repeating itself, and we could see Method Black and Wildcard Gaming in the grand finals again.
There's a very good chance we can have a little look over at how that bracket for Europe will look on Sunday right about now. Method Black, and changed my mind earlier in the day. They had stellar performances. Changed my mind, bucking the trend of the Wildcard Gaming Method Black back and forth that we had in the spring season for Europe. They were able to make it through to that top 3, but now Wildcard Gaming is secured in the top 4. I feel like anyone in that upper final is probably trembling.